Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Robi Harahap. So my number is 22060553334. In this video, I'm going to be explaining to you guys about my quiz on numerical methods. I'm from class 01. So there were like 4 questions in this quiz, and I'm going to be answering each and every one to you guys. So the first one is elaborate your understanding of conscious thinking using the I5 concept. So first and foremost, let me introduce a concept called DAI5. It's a framework that my professor told me. His name is Mr. Dai. He made a concept named DAI5. So it consists of like 4 words starting with the letter I, starting from intention, initial thinking, idealization, and instruction. So I'm going to be explaining each one and giving correlation to conscious thinking, and hopefully I can do that. So intention. Before engaging in any task or problem solving activity, consciously set an intention. This involves understanding the deeper purpose behind the task. So basically it's just what it's called intention. So the first thing you could probably do to identify what the intention is when you're solving a problem is ask yourself, why am I doing this? How does this task help me grow as an individual and a servant of Allah? So Mr. Da'i, he heavily annotates that everything that we do has to have a purpose, and one of those purpose has to be like a religious purpose, either to Allah or to your other beliefs. Okay, so secondly is initial thinking. Engage in a thorough examination of the problem at hand. So basically it's just like identifying what the variables, constraints, and initial conditions are in your problem. So like variables is like things that you can change and it would affect to other things, and constraints is basically things that limits what you can change in your variables. And initial conditions is basically like variables, but like it's given from the problem itself. Idealization is make necessary assumptions to simplify the problem. So you can create models, or you can create equations, or basically anything. You can create visual models, like 3D models, and like codes, you know. And lastly is instruction. Implement the solution based on a specified approach. This involves executing your plan, whether through calculations, simulations, or experiments. Next is consider a problem in engineering that is required to solve using numerical methods. So here I'm going to be determining the velocity profile of fluid flow through a pipe using Navier-Stokes equations. So as you may know, the fluid here is a liquid, so I'm going to be assuming it's incompressible fluid flowing through a cylindrical pipe. Firstly, the intention is the purpose, understanding the behavior of fluid flow through a pipe to optimize design. So that's just the normal engineering purpose. And secondly is bringing us closer to Allah by appreciating the complexity and order of His creation. So this is the religious aspect of it, and the end goal is to accurately determine the velocity profile and validate it. So basically every time we assess something, we have to validate it as a form of conscious thinking. And then initial thinking is the second step. We have to know the variables. So fluid is incompressible, the pipe has a known radius, the flow is steady and laminar. I didn't want to make it harder for myself, so I made it steady instead of turbulent. I mean laminar instead of turbulent. And the constraint is no slip condition and symmetry around the pipe axis. The approach is definitely used the Navier equation. As you may see here in idealization, we can see the equation is d per dr, which r is the half of diameter, and then the v is velocity, z is the length. So modeling here, you can use coordinates like r, theta, and z. And assumption, the flow is as. Okay, so next, number 3 is if there is a value added of the 5 used in your learning process, experiential learning, then explain it. So there were 3 in particular that I wanted to share with you guys. The first one is real world applications. So applying the DI5 framework to optimize an airfoil shape in my numerical methods class has shown me how theoretical concepts are used in real-world engineering problems. This connection between theory and practice makes learning more relevant and exciting. Secondly, self-discipline and time management. By consistently following the DI5 steps, I have developed better study habits and time management skills. Thirdly, spiritual growth. Integrating my academic efforts with spiritual goals has added a sense of fulfillment to my studies. Lastly, number 4, do self-evaluation and write it down. So, throughout my years of college and school, I've not been um, the best with time management, especially for like classes. Like I've been missing a couple of classes and lack of attention. Um, so during classes, I sometimes struggle to pay attention and stay focused. This results in missing out on important explanations and discussions. Um, so probably staying attentive is critical for absorbing and retaining information. Engaging actively with the material can make learning more effective and enjoyable. Secondly is missing classes. Um, Missing classes leads to gaps in my misunderstanding of subject material, making it difficult to keep up with subsequent lessons. Regular attendance is essential for continuous learning and understanding. Skipping classes hinders my ability to stay on track and progress effectively. So that's probably all I'm going to share with you guys. Those were um, my 4 um, questions in my quiz and how I answered it. There were probably some minor changes or some uh, major things that I wanted to change. So terima kasih. Thank you everyone for listening to my explanation. I'm sorry if I had I'm sorry if I wasn't clear enough. That was me, Muhammad Robi Harahap. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.